Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow. Now let's get started. Jacob Fatu has been a member of Solo Sikoa's bloodline since his WWE debut in May 2024. The Samoan werewolf made an instant impact, running riots with Sikoa, Tama Tonga, and Tongaloa to establish their faction as a force to be reckoned with. Together, the group won gold and took on all comers, including top stars like Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, and Roman Reigns. The 32-year-old breakout star has thus far been a devoted follower of Sikoa's, repeatedly proclaiming his love for his tribal chief. However, given his unstable nature and massive singles potential, a split has always seemed inevitable. Now that the Street Champ has lost the Ula Fala to Roman Reigns, is it the perfect time to pull the trigger on Fatu betraying the OG Bloodline's former enforcer? Here are 4 reasons why it's the perfect time for WWE to turn Jacob Fatu on Solo Sikoa. 4. Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa's alliance has arguably hit its ceiling in WWE. When Solo Sikoa formed Bloodline 2.0 after WrestleMania XL, the group was meant to achieve several objectives. These included elevating him, introducing Tama Tonga, Tongaloa, and Jacob Fatu to the WWE Universe in a top spot, and turning the OG Bloodline babyface. One could easily claim that most of these have been achieved, and the faction's current setup has run its course. There doesn't seem to be much left to do with Sikoa as leader and Fatu as enforcer after the former's decisive loss to Roman Reigns. This could mean it's time for Fatu to seize control of the faction, allowing the Street Champ to go solo, no pun intended. This would capitalize on the latter's elevated position and the former's singles breakout potential, facilitating both men's growth. If they do it right, WWE could have a new singles monster heel and top babyface on its hands with one turn instead of a floundering bloodline. 3. Jacob Fatu betraying Solo Sikoa could allow Hikuleo to finally debut in WWE. Solo Sikoa was arguably the most valuable player of the Bloodline storyline in 2024. The Street Champ acted as the bridge between the faction's original phase and a new era, kicking out old members and introducing new blood, again, no pun intended. As the last surviving member of the original group, he lent legitimacy to his new faction mates, allowing them to hit the ground running in WWE. Now that his arc as tribal chief seems to have reached a natural end, it may be time to sever his ties and let the new crew fly independently. With a capable leader in Jacob Fatu and a top tag team in Tama Tonga and Tongaloa, the trio could continue under a new name, going in their direction. More importantly, it could create space for Hikuleo to debut after months of speculation. Imagine how terrifying the Samoan werewolf would be with a 6 feet 7 inches Tongan giant as his enforcer. 2. Jacob Fatu betraying Solo Sikoa now would be the best setup for a feud with Roman Reigns down the road. Since Roman Reigns returned to WWE as a babyface, the company has teased him feuding with Jacob Fatu multiple times. Every interaction the duo has had in the squared circle has been met with a roaring reception, and it's only a matter of time until they face off. As the bridge between the OG and new bloodlines, Solo Sikoa might be the key to that future rivalry reaching its full potential. While Reigns and Fatu facing off is almost guaranteed to be money in any context, it would be much more heated if the latter turned on Sikoa. This would motivate the tribal chief to defend his family, even if he didn't reunite with the Street Champ. Whenever Triple H and co. choose to revisit the story in the future, Fatu's betrayal of his former chief would be a powerful spark. Why look too far down the road when there is action around the corner? 1. Jacob Fatu betraying Solo Sikoa would set up a WWE WrestleMania 41 match between the duo. The road to WWE WrestleMania 41 is right around the corner, kicking off at the Royal Rumble. As always happens in the weeks leading up to the Rumble, speculation about who will take on whom at the show of shows is rife. The likes of John Cena, Roman Reigns, and CM Punk are favorites in the world title mix, but there is much intrigue on the lower end of the card. One of the most anticipated matches outside the world title picture at the Showcase of the Immortals is Solo Sikoa vs. Jacob Fatu. The two young Samoan powerhouses have both grown immensely in stature over the past year and could have one of the strongest stories on the grandest stage this year. It's hard to see anyone else being as good an opponent for either man than each other. The iron is hot, momentum is high, both men are as relevant as ever. Now is the time for Jacob Fatu to turn against Solo Sikoa and break out as a single star. The Bloodline has undoubtedly been one of the most captivating factions in WWE history. Spearheaded by Roman Reigns, it has become a dominant force, with the likes of Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, and Solo Sikoa surrounding him in his quest for supremacy. However, while the faction has enjoyed immense success, there is a growing narrative in the WWE universe that Jacob Fatu, a rising star in the wrestling world, should be brought in to shake things up. As fans speculate about future storylines, many believe that it's time for WWE to turn Jacob Fatu against Solo Sikoa. Here are 4 compelling reasons why this move could be the next big storyline for the Bloodline, creating thrilling drama for the fans. 1. Fatu's independent dominance and need for his own legacy. Jacob Fatu's reign as one of the most dominant forces outside WWE has made him a beloved figure in the wrestling world. His immense athleticism, size, and sheer strength have drawn comparisons to his famous cousins in the Anoa'i family, but Jacob's career thus far has been defined by carving his own path. While he has had brief ties to the Samoan wrestling legacy, including his time with the MLW, Major League Wrestling, promotion, he has yet to fully immerse himself in WWE's complex storytelling and larger-than-life spectacle. The turning point for Jacob Fatu would come with a natural progression into WWE, where the stakes would be much higher. The Bloodline would offer him a chance to connect with his legacy, but he would be forced to make a difficult decision: continue riding the coattails of Roman Reigns or create his own identity, separate from the shackles of family expectations. This internal conflict would push Fatu into a role where he is ready to stand up to Solo Sikoa, who is positioned as Reigns' most trusted enforcer. Fatu's growing frustration with being overshadowed by Roman's influence, along with his desire to establish his own legacy, sets the stage for an eventual turn against Sikoa. The moment Fatu breaks free would be monumental, as it would symbolize his breaking away from the family grip and asserting his dominance. This would not only elevate Fatu's character, but also create a fascinating storyline for fans eager to see him step out of Reigns' shadow. 2. The Bloodline's current tension with Solo Sikoa. While Solo Sikoa has proven himself as a valuable member of the Bloodline, his loyalty to Roman Reigns has been tested over time. Fans have already witnessed his emotional struggles in the faction, particularly in moments when Roman demands more from his stablemates than they are willing to give. Solo's growing frustration has been subtly hinted at on WWE programming, especially when it comes to the idea of always being the enforcer, often forced to do Roman's dirty work while standing in the shadows of the tribal chief. This brewing tension between Solo and Roman, coupled with Solo's realization that his role in the Bloodline might not ever lead to personal glory, makes him the perfect character for conflict. Jacob Fatu, with his legitimate wrestling pedigree and Bloodline ties, would be the ideal person to expose the cracks in Solo's relationship with Roman Reigns. Solo's resentment could gradually build up, and as tensions escalate within the group, the cracks would widen, leaving the door open for Jacob to step in. The idea of Jacob targeting Solo would make sense from a storyline perspective, especially with Solo's past feelings of being undervalued and the possibility of him questioning his loyalty to Roman. By planting the seeds of doubt in Solo's mind, Jacob Fatu could capitalize on his cousin's emotional vulnerability. The subsequent betrayal would create a shift in the Bloodline dynamic, where Solo is no longer simply a trusted enforcer, but a defiant rebel against the faction's tyranny. Fatu's intervention could be the catalyst that finally pushes Solo to abandon Roman, creating a fierce and personal feud between the two Samoan powerhouses. 3. The chemistry between Fatu and Sikoa, a clash of titans. When it comes to in-ring talent, both Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa have the potential to deliver a brutal, intense feud. Both men are built like titans, standing over 6 feet tall, with immense power and skill. Their clash would be a battle of strength, wrestling prowess, and sheer determination. The crowd would be treated to hard-hitting matches, with explosive moments of high-flying maneuvers from Fatu and the relentless, methodical pace of Solo Sikoa. The contrast in their fighting styles would also play a major role in their rivalry. While Solo relies heavily on brute force and submission tactics to wear down his opponents, Fatu is known for his agility and explosive offense. The two would create a dynamic clash in the ring, with Fatu using his speed and aerial prowess to take down the more grounded Sikoa. This variety in wrestling styles would captivate fans, offering a visually compelling and physically intense series of matches. Moreover, both men come from similar yet distinct backgrounds. Solo Sikoa has been trained under the tutelage of the Samoan wrestling family, while Jacob Fatu has honed his skills in other promotions, blending elements of his wrestling heritage with new techniques. This mixture of old and new would make their matches not only entertaining but also rich with storytelling potential. The chemistry between them could elevate their rivalry beyond just a typical family feud. It would be a war of attrition, with both men trying to outdo the other, establishing themselves as the true heir to the Samoan wrestling throne. 4. The impact on Roman Reigns and the Bloodline's future. Roman Reigns, as the tribal chief, is the undisputed leader of the Bloodline, but even his reign has its limits. The inclusion of Jacob Fatu would force Roman to deal with the growing power struggle within his family, further complicating his already tenuous relationship with Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso. This external conflict would add another layer of complexity to Roman's ongoing storyline as the top heel in WWE. Roman's reaction to Jacob Fatu turning against Solo Sikoa would have a significant impact on the faction's future. Reigns, who was already dealing with a fractured bloodline, would find himself in a precarious position, trying to maintain control while facing the possibility of losing more family members to rebellion. Roman's need for loyalty would be tested even further, and his reign would become increasingly unstable as more members of his family challenge him for supremacy. Jacob's defection would be a powerful statement that not only breaks up the bloodline, but also sets up future feuds, with Fatu potentially becoming the new face of the Samoan dynasty. This shift would create a fascinating storyline where Roman's reign is no longer guaranteed, and new rivalries, both internal and external, begin to emerge within the faction. WWE could explore the idea of Jacob Fatu rising to power, becoming a formidable opponent to Roman and ushering in a new era for the Samoan wrestling legacy. Conclusion: a bloodline split to remember. The time is ripe for WWE to turn Jacob Fatu against Solo Sikoa. With Fatu's desire for independence, Solo's emotional conflicts within the bloodline, the chemistry between the two men in the ring, and the seismic impact on Roman Reigns' leadership, this storyline has the potential to captivate fans and redefine the future of the bloodline. This plotline would not only elevate Jacob Fatu as a top star in WWE but also provide an exciting and fresh narrative to keep fans engaged with the ongoing evolution of Samoan dominance in professional wrestling.